and you talk about this Kansas City Chiefs team, we are naturally just calling them the next dynasty. For the last 5 Super Bowls, obviously 2 times winning it, and then what Patrick Mahomes has been able to do. Travis Kelce is going to go down as greatest of all time. I assume Gronk, in your eyes, greatest of all time. There's going to be arguments made for both of them. Andy Reid is going to go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time. So as the person who is at the quarterback helm of a dynasty that lasted 20 some years up there in New England, which is going to be hard to achieve ever again in any sport. Why do you think it took place? You think it's just strictly, and from the way it sounds like you're going to answer this is, well, great teammates and everything like that. But whenever they talk about the Patriot way, that is normally the reason that is given, is like the Patriot way, the Patriot way, the Patriot way. And then people say, well, is that Tom or is that Bill? What do you think about that? Well,
I think that sounds like, I've never used that term in my entire life. I think when people say it, I'm always like, what's the Patriot way? It sounds like the title of a book. I think what we tried to do was we tried to do things the right way. I think we tried to practice the right way and prepare the right way. What happened on game day was ultimately a reflection of what we practiced. And I thought we had great leadership from our coaches, and it filtered down to the guys who really drove the culture. We had so many guys that I played with over the course of a lot of years that, you know, really understood that, okay, I'm going to care about my teammates and I'm going to care about helping the team win. And whatever personal agenda you had, you know, individual success and individual awards, I don't want to make those insignificant, but they weren't as significant as what we were trying to accomplish as a team. And I think being a real selfless player and understanding that if the ball didn't come your way as a receiver and it went somewhere else, that was a great thing for the team, as opposed to a lot of times, you know, if it doesn't go to you or if you don't make the tackle, I mean, you get frustrated that you don't feel like you're a part of it. To me, it was always, when we'd score touchdowns, you know, we'd celebrate with the O-line, because without them, we didn't have anything. I didn't have time to throw the ball. We didn't have holes that we could open up in the O-line for our backs to get through. We didn't have, you know, when we had tight end like Gronk at the point of attack, and early in my career, Dan Graham, one of the great blockers that I've ever seen, you know, we could run to the tight end, and that tight end now could release up the seam and throw the ball for a big gain on third down. You can get to big targets in the red area. But again, it was all teamwork. It was the running backs blocking and pass protection so that the receivers could catch the ball. And then it was receivers blocking in the run game so we could spring our backs for long runs. Those were the things that I thought we celebrated a lot as a team that maybe aren't glorified on television, but those are the things I'd like to point out when I'm on Fox next year. It's that this is the ultimate team sport. We're playing chess out there. We're not thinking about, you know, necessarily where the ball is. I'm looking for things that are creating these opportunities for everybody to make plays, whether it's offense, defense, or in the kicking game.
The way you've described the team here throughout this entire conversation, whether it's Noble or you're talking about those Patriot squads, do you think that's because you're like pick 199, guy that wasn't necessarily Heisman in college? Because the big story that everybody says that was a New England Patriot, that was a player, they go, Bill Belichick would say the same things to Tom Brady, who is sitting in the front row, as he would say to everybody else. And I think people that played high school football are like, yeah, of course he would coach everybody the same way. But that's not normal across the NFL.
Yeah.
I think you know that from now probably hearing about stuff in other buildings. And the reason why it's mentioned so much is because it's not normal. Like, you just have this, why do you think you're the guy who would go on to be the greatest of all time, but also would take a mother from a head coach in front of all of your peers and not really, you know, make a big deal out of it? Actually, you would warrant the team to get better because now Bill could say that to everybody else on the team. Did you realize that in a moment that was one of the traits that you have that not a lot of people have? And why do you think you're that person?
Well, I think I was coached pretty hard in high school and I was coached pretty hard in college, and I was used to that style. And I think we all got to the Patriots, and when we did things right, there was a lot of team success. And when we didn't do things right, I think what I appreciated about that environment and what I see in the business world a lot, and I don't see it as much in NFL teams right now, is accountability. And I think that there's a certain way that the team needs to operate in order to be successful. And I was okay with that. If the coach was going to be hard on me, I was going to accept the difficult coaching because I needed to hear it. And again, it motivated me. And there was a lot of players on our team that would see me get coached hard and that they would say, okay, I got to step my game up because I don't want to get yelled at. Tom's getting yelled at. I don't want to get yelled at.
Yeah.
How do I up my game? And I think that's what accountability looks like. And you can't be, you know, so have your ego so big that any criticism is going to, lessen your confidence. I mean, look, you're going out there in a Super Bowl in 2 weeks in Vegas, and you got hundreds of millions of people watching. You better be tough at that point. You better have not go in there with, a weak attitude.
Fragile.
I think you got to go in there and you got to embrace the challenge, embrace the opportunity. You're going to be tested. And if your coach tests you and your teammates test you, then you can go beat your competition. If they're not testing you and you're waiting for game day to figure things out, you're at a disadvantage. So I love the fact that I was pushed every day to be my best. And I love that I had the ability to push my teammates every day to be their best. And when I did that, I knew that there was accountability back on me, that I was expected to go be my best. And ultimately that led to a lot of team success. So there's only one way to do it, in my opinion. You could do it over a short period of time. I don't think Andy Reid, lets his players get off the hook. I don't think Kyle Shanahan lets his players get off the hook. I see those guys with the very disciplined style. I respect those programs for how they run it. And I hope all the teams can learn from that so that we can create the most competitive NFL that there could be, and people continue to love the sport like I have over a long period of time.
There's a lot of different ways to go about it, but it feels like if there isn't accountability, there isn't success following in anything. That genuinely feels like that. So anytime the Patriot way gets mentioned, I think that's my first and everybody's first thought is like everybody is being held accountable to the same exact standard. Now, when you're 40 years old and you've won 6 Super Bowls and you're already being called the GOAT, was there anything to you getting to the point of just being sick? Like, I'm tired of Bill Belichick talking to me like I'm a 23-year-old. Because that was kind of the lingering at the end of your time at New England, is that although you had been the guy that just was, hey, I'm one of the guys, even though you never were, I respect the fact that you viewed yourself as one of the guys, having drinks with the boys, taking care of the boys, hanging out with the boys. Like everything you did that I've heard is like incredible teammate, and you didn't have to. And for as long as you did it, phenomenal stuff. That's why everybody says hi. But at the end of your time with Bill, did there come a time where you're like, all right, Bill, I'm sick of this. Okay, I am a father now. I've made it. Is that real? Or do you think a lot of this stuff that kind of got said at the end of your run at New England with you and Bill kind of got taken out of context or kind of misunderstood?
Yeah, I think there was, I think first of all, you said like, to be one of the guys. That's what I always enjoyed more than anything about playing competitive sports, was what I was doing with the guys. So none of that felt like that was a stretch for me. I loved hanging out with my teammates in the locker room and feeling like I was completely vulnerable, to go in there and express how I felt. And what you saw on the field was very much who I was. I think the challenging part is you get off the field and you go out to a restaurant and you go, somewhere and you feel like, oh, I have to, you're not in a protected environment. I felt like in those locker rooms, I was very protected. I was surrounded by people that loved what I loved. And obviously my respect for Coach Belichick is pretty well documented. He was an incredible leader and coach for our team. And I tried to do my best every single day that I took the field. I knew that he did the same thing. And I think that's why I respected his coaching so much. So toward the later part of my career, I really think there was so much people just trying to create some division, that most of it was untrue. But it's just the way the world works. And naturally, I think division from within is a big problem in these team environments. And I don't like seeing any dysfunction in team environments. I want everyone seeing things through one set of eyes, through one goal, through one vision, one mission, what we're trying to do with Noble. And I've got a great leader in Mike Rapoli who's gonna create that vision for what we plan to do in our expansion and our growth.
Well, you and Coach Belichick did something that nobody else is ever going to do. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in the middle of it. If they're able to do this for 20 years straight, more power to them.
Yeah, incredible. I feel the same way.
Yeah, like relationship-wise, not like humans, let alone football, strategy, ability, team evolution, salary cap, everything, let alone luck with injuries, everything that goes into it. But just humans, the aspect of humans having to work together for that long is abnormal. So you got, victory lap for what you guys did up there.
Yeah.
Then you go down to Tampa Bay, and we happen to be down there about the same time. The amount of cranes that came to the city whenever you came there, obviously the ticket sales, everything that went through the roof for the Buccaneers. You win a Super Bowl there. It's beautiful. You now outright GOAT of the NFL.